The Regular Beer Project presents Miller Genuine Draft Double Down. This beer is certified kosher. It is 4.7% alcohol. It has the same specs across the board as Miller High Life because it is Miller High Life, but in a packaged draft form. And it was originally known in 1985, early 86, I guess, as Miller High Life Genuine Draft. They shortened the name. I guess they realized it was a bit of a long name. This beer is interesting because it's got a nice label, but you want to drink it, right? Not just look at the labels. But it helps when it's attractive. We know High Life came out in 1855, and you could get the draft version, but only on draft, in a keg or at a bar. And I remember in 2002, a friend of mine, Paul, he does videos sometimes with us. But not too much because he said the kids are just too small and they're always acting up when he's trying to do the videos. But we were at Miller Park in Milwaukee watching the Cubs at the Brewers, of course, and he had the High Life on draft, and he was remarking about how good it was. Oh, it was so good. Much better than the bottle or can. I said, yeah, I had the same experience in 1997 when I was at a bar on the west bank of New Orleans, in that section called Algiers, right at where the ferry landing is. And we were playing pool, and they had a High Life on draft. And Miller knew that people preferred the draft version. February 13th, 2017. It's got the date, guys. That's convenient. And you can look inside the label, and there's something there. It won't be skunked because they use special light resistant Galena hops. They developed that at Miller, and they're not affected by light. Won't go skunky. Fresh draft taste. And it says in the little medals. Okay, Miller Brewing Company established 1855. Hand-selected hops. Yeah, the company also in Frederick Miller Lager, 1855. All right. Heard some bad sirens this morning. Yesterday I heard so many fire engines, then I could smell smoke, wood burning. I didn't know what that was. This is the only Miller glass I have. Not much of a head. It would be higher in a narrower brim glass. Bubble streams, and it's golden and clear. They knew it was better on draft, so they worked hard to develop this cold filtering system. They had other beers before 1985 that claimed they were draft beers, but I don't think they really were, and some people were challenging them on that, and all of those dropped that. Like Peel's, they would claim it was a true draft beer, but later on you'll notice the cans said draft flavor and stuff like that, draft style beer. It's pungent, it's sort of rich in the aroma, it's sweet grains. High Life, I buy that a lot, $6.49 a 12-pack, can't go wrong, but it just lacks something relative to this beer. This thing here, they tout the ultra smoothness, and I agree with that. But I thought this beer, so Miller developed cold filtering with this ceramic filter that forces the beer through the filter over a fairly slow and expensive process that takes the impurities out of it. Unlike pasteurization, which they basically boil the beer, which kills the germs, of course, but it deteriorates the beer. And so they used to have a Miller Genuine Draft website, but that's been non-functional for over 2 years. But they had many good videos on there talking about how they developed it and how it is better than the pasteurized beer. But then if it's not pasteurized, it won't keep. This will stay 120 days, tasting fresh. From around 1989, when it was really getting big, until around 1999, maybe even later, it was one of the top beers in America. Right up there with Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite, all of them. And then, for some reason, over the last 15 years, it just declined. You saw less and less television ads for it. I did see a few around 4 years ago on WGN when they were still showing the Cubs and White Sox games. Really high quality commercials, but I said they don't show them down here. It's obviously just Midwestern regional area, but stopped seeing it in bars anymore, or events. They used to have it all the time at Tulane basketball games. In the hospitality room, we would go in the coach's corner. But then it just disappeared off the store shelves here 4 years ago. Now, for a few years, they were selling 24-pack of the 12-ounce cans, the suitcases of the Miller Genuine Draft can version. And it's got that nightclub. It's like you're looking down at the table in the nightclub, and they got the long playing records that they use for the nightclub music. And this has got this special tab. Crack open, push the second tab, and enjoy. There's the second tab, which lets the air out. Somebody said I should do that with those big tall cans and those Foster's cans. Open the back side of it. And I said, oh, like the old Pennzoil or Quaker State oil cans. Had never thought of that. I just pour them and it spills everywhere. So, yeah, February 10th, 2014. This was from 2013, obviously. Then they disappeared out of our stores here in any configuration. And a few stores in Metairie still carried it. And in Hammond, which is north on 51, east on 61, US 61 in New Orleans, that area you saw, excuse me, 6-packs or 12-packs here and there. You could tell it probably wasn't too popular. But there was still some sort of following. I know Dorgnac's had it for years. $5.99 a 6-pack. Most stores were $6.99. And all the stores had it for $10.99 a 12-pack. Well, I was in Walmart today buying something else. I was buying the Milwaukee's Best Lager, the new beer from Miller. Molson Coors owns Miller, of course, since October 11th, 2016. They own 100% of Miller Brewing Company. But so I saw it. They had one 30-pack left. And I said, I better buy it. This thing's moving quick on this football weekend, you see, and especially with the new one, I think is attracting people. And then I was turning to leave, and I saw this. I couldn't believe it. An 18-pack of bottles, Miller Genuine Draft. $12.80. I said, well, that's a great deal for it. 18-pack of Miller Genuine Draft. So I bought it, and I said, I got to do a double down. I figured I'd never do a double down on this because it's just dying out. But maybe Molson Coors decided, no, we're not letting this legacy brand, as John Sharon at Zone 1 calls it, we're not letting this die out after 31 years. So maybe they're going to put a re-emphasis upon it. It really is smooth. Like I said, I like High Life. And as far as light beers go outdoor, High Life Light. They used to make an MGD Light. That was killed off. And then they went to MGD 64, and that's now Miller 64. That's a totally different thing. Back in around 1996, you saw these bottle designs. Cold filtered. Different label, but they were, you might remember the commercials, MGD. It's basically what they were calling it, MGD. It's faded. I see it's, the red is almost faded away. Just from ambient light. And they would show a dance club and trying to attract young drinkers, MGD, but I don't guess it worked. So later they went to this, like around 2000, something. Lager beer, fresh from the tap taste, Frederick Miller's signature. So this gold approach, the gold label, which I thought was very attractive. And you remember the modern cap with the, what was it, capture the night type thing or whatever, and they were still running ads. They would show the beer. You know, they would have the commercials, the beer pouring out slowly out of this gold bottle, cold filtered for fresh from the tap taste. Apparently it's always been certified kosher, even back to the mid-90s. I thought this was a really fantastic bottle, but then they came out with the modern label design, which is even better. The black with gold trim instead of gold with black trim. But if you what we've discovered, me and my beer friends, if you neglect a brand, it just seems to die out. Even if the people like it has fans, if they don't see the commercials and they don't see the posters in the beer stores, they forget about it. It's like they go on to something else. Think about Coors Banquet. In the 80s, mid-80s, commercials constantly. Beer everywhere. Started to decline. Well, they were making so much with Coors Light, they just neglected it. And now you notice in the last 5 to 8 years, now they're running those Coors Banquet commercials pretty much constantly. You see Coors Banquet everywhere in the stores. Not really seeing it in restaurants or bars yet, but they're promoting it. So the sales, I talked to a distributor, he said, oh yeah, the sales are really good for the Coors Banquet around here. He said, especially the pint cans for some reason. He said those are really hot items. The bottles, not so much. Well, I think because the bottles are like $6.79, $6.67 for a 6-pack. But you can get a 6-pack of pint cans, more beer, for $4.47. I saw that at Walmart. So it was like, why would you pay over $2 more for stubby bottles that are 12 ounces each when you can get tall cans that are 16 ounces each? And apparently the consumer's saying, yeah, why would I do that? Anyway, back to this beer. It is smooth, it is enjoyable, it has character, it's not total junk. Is it the greatest thing in the world? No. I don't think Miller ever claimed that. It was just going out drinking beer or eating a ham sandwich with Swiss cheese and salad or chili or whatever, beer. I don't think it was developed for close examinations and contemplative beer experiences. But if you're going to do that with it, it can hold its own on there, in that area. So I think if it stays around, maybe they're just trying it out at Walmart, and they don't play around over there. If it doesn't catch fire quick, it dies quick. But if it moves, we might see I think we're going to see a big comeback with this beer. I think they're going to really start. You might see some commercials coming up. No, I have no inside information about that. I just have a feeling. So, oh yeah. Yes, with High Life, you get the hop note. You will notice it. It has a lot of character also. But there is some kind of vegetable thing going on with it. Just slight. It's not as pronounced as it used to be. But with the cold filtering, you don't get that. This has just you get the corn underneath the grain, a little bread crust. But finished it off. I don't think anybody could say this beer is harsh. How could you say it's harsh? Now, I will admit, around 96, 97, when I first started drinking beer, I preferred High Life over this because this one seemed more bitter to me because, it's got, like I just said, it's got more of a hop presence, a little more predominance there. So I thought, I was interpreting that as harshness when really it was just flavor. But as time went on, I started to realize, no, this is better. This is a better product. Now, whether it's better, more better enough to pay more for it, that's up to you. I would tend to pay more for it. So if I can go to Walmart, and I compared them because they had High Life 12 packs, genuine draft 12 packs, bottles, and the High Life was $12.20, and this was $12. what did I say, 12.28. The difference was almost, you know, almost was no difference, which I found shocking. Thank you for watching this video production.